Thank you, Heather. Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Snow. I am the designer on our ecosystem team. That means I work on developer.atlassian.com as well as Marketplace. I've been with Atlassian for about 7 months now. This is my first Atlas Camp. Really excited to be here and get to meet some of you all, and hope to share some of the insight I've learned in the past 7 months with regards to Marketplace and user experience. I will say that the title here is a little bit of a misnomer. UX design, not just for developers, but for anyone. I think often we're put in positions of having to make design decisions, no matter what our role is. So let's see if we can make those decisions well-informed and with some good techniques here. So here's what we're going to talk about today. Just briefly get into what is design, talk a bit about user research in general, and then some research that we've done on Marketplace that I want to pass along to you to help you build better add-ons and market your add-on better. Okay, so what is design? This is Chester. Chester is my dog. He is a 6-year-old black lab. And when I first got Chester, he eats very quickly. I put his food in his dog bowl, and he eats it in about 1 second. The problem with this is that Chester it comes back. And so I have this problem. I have this user experience problem with Chester that I need to solve. Does anybody know what this is? This is a dog feeder. This is the solution to my Chester problem. This is something that is a pretty unique and innovative design that is intended to solve exactly this problem. It's called the Interactive Green Lawn Feeder for Dogs. Most people, when they look at this, have no idea what it is or how to use it. My pet sitter actually has no idea. I come home and it's clean. He doesn't use it when they're pet sitting with my dog, so I need to train him as well. But let's take a look at how this works. So this is Chester. You pour the food right in, and he instantly knows how to use it. I didn't have to train him. He just figures it out. And if anyone has a black lab at home, you know, or a lab at home, you know that they're highly food motivated. So he was motivated to solve this and figure it out. So now, Chester slows down his eating, and we no longer have the problem that we used to have. Okay, so user research. How do we go from a problem to a great solution? Really, the key here is user research. Whatever you're designing or building out there, users are busy people. They'll only spend a second or two to determine if your design works for them. So you better understand who they are in great detail if you want to reach them and truly solve their problem. Gathering as much data as you can about your target user is the foundation of any successful design process. I think people forgo user research in part because we have some knowledge and some assumptions that from an experience of our own with products or whatever it is we're planning to design. Unfortunately, we rely too much on our assumptions. We make decisions based off of how we think things work, when in reality, it's something very different. We assume that the thing that we build, the add-on that you build, is obvious to others who see it. And the truth is, sometimes it's just not. Generally, what we see with add-ons and the design of add-ons is that people put a lot of effort and time into actually building the product, but need to put a little bit more time into understanding the user and how they think about these things, as well as how to find your add-on the Marketplace. Often, developers are writing content for Marketplace from their point of view, but that isn't where your potential users and customers are coming from. To them, products seem overly complicated or not clearly explained or not explained at all. Benefits of user research is really developing empathy for that user, getting into their headspace and understanding what's going on there. Putting them at the center of your thinking is going to result in better design. You also need to validate or correct your assumptions. Maybe you were right, but let's see. Also, understanding a problem deeply gives you better insight to a solution. Okay, so back to the dogs. User research can be any number of things, but I think one of the key things and the easiest thing for you to do is just to go out and talk to your users. Go to that dog park and try that dog bowl and see how they're using it. When it comes to your products, it's really important before you get into that next design phase, if you already have an existing product, is to watch your users and see what they're doing out there. How are they using your product? Is it the way you thought they would use it? Where do they get hung up? What are they doing? What do they tell you? Often what you see them doing and how they think they're using something or what they tell you about their experience are two different things, so observation is really important. And these are the kinds of things that you can do with just a handful of people. You don't need to go out and do a big research study. You can talk to people in your office. If you're in a very small office, there are other ways. You can go to meetups, other events like this, and put your add-on in front of somebody and ask them to install it. How is that experience? Ask them to use it. What do you see? And from there, you can take that feedback in. And you'll have to synthesize and summarize this information in some way. As I did in this case, a few things came to mind as I was watching my dog with his original dog bowl, and it became clear that I needed a quick and easy way to load that dog food into the feeder. I didn't want any complicated mechanisms that I have to work with. The dog has to understand how to use that right away, and he needs to be forced to eat more slowly. We need to also use the current food that Chester's used to because I don't want to buy special food for a special feeder. So we have some clear goals here, but how do you get from that dog bowl to the next great design? And this is the hardest part. You're trying to take something and you have to make a concrete artifact out of it. You need a starting point. And my advice here is you just need to get started. Maybe you start with something existing on the market like the regular dog bowl and you tweak it in your own special way. But the point here is to get started, iterate, and be prepared for failure. No one gets it right on the first try, so don't give up. Continue to iterate and tweak and iterate. Here are a couple of examples of designing and failing. So this red item here that the dog is nosing is a certain kind of dog food puzzle where I have to unscrew the top, put some pellets in there, put it back together, and I set it on the ground, and the dog pushes it all over the place. There's a hole in the side, and pellets come out. This results in the dog licking the entire floor in the house. And it is so loud on my hardwood floors that you can't have a conversation when the dog is eating. This just isn't going to work for us. The other one down here is a different kind of puzzle where you put food in each one of these wells, you cover it up, and the problem here is that the dog cannot figure it out. He actually lays on top of it and he guards it if you get close to him. And this dog would starve before he ever figured this out. So that one wasn't going to work for us either. So we kept trying and iterating. And eventually, you are testing these things back with your original users. So ultimately, you want to know, can they use it? When you get pretty close to what you think is a viable solution, go back to those original users that you started with. Ask them what they think. Show them this design that you have. How is it working for them? Is it interactive? And can they use it from beginning to end? So, a lot of talk about dog food and dog bowls, but it's a fun mechanism just to talk about user research and ways in which you can engage with your users out there. We've did that for Marketplace. We've incorporated a process now where we're talking to users on a regular basis throughout our feature development cycle. We're also talking about who is on Marketplace as a whole, and we've done several different research techniques here, surveys, interviews, et cetera, and we're finding that we have some key users here. The power user is someone who knows the Atlassian products fairly well. They tend to be fairly comfortable and technical, though they're not always in a technical role. They could be product managers or project managers. We also, interestingly, have people doing product evaluations. So what's important here is they're not just trying Jira, they're trying Jira and add-ons. They want that whole solution. So they're starting to evaluate this combination of things. We also have a group of people who are returning. what we think is going on here is that they're doing research. They don't review, try, and buy in one single point in time. They're doing this over time as they gather their own business requirements, trying to figure out how many solutions are out there, narrow it down, and figure out what's best for them. There could be other things going on here with this statistic, but this is an area for us to continue to investigate. I think it's important to know that you have multiple opportunities to get in front of that same user and convince them to buy your add-on. So, why are people on Marketplace? Primarily, they're looking for a solution to their business problem, that top bullet. They're thinking in terms of a use case. I need to visualize my data in Jira. I need to see if my team is tracking progress properly. This is how they're thinking about things, and this is how they're looking for information. This is on both our marketplace.atlassian.com site as well as in product. The same user will go into both different environments for slightly different reasons. We know that trying and buying is a lot easier from within the product, so they may do their research on Marketplace and then go in product to initiate that trial. We do have some other users that are coming back to see what is new on Marketplace. They're getting new ideas. Maybe they have a problem solved, but now they want to see if there's something else out there that might be helpful to them they hadn't even thought of. This is a pretty good representation of some of the feedback we're getting on contents on Marketplace. Customers have a hard time determining if the add-on solves their problem, in part because the content is not written towards that use case. If the content is more directly targeting that use case, users will have a better understanding if that's the right solution for them, easier for them to evaluate. We also know what users are doing to evaluate the quality of an add-on. If it passes that initial sniff test where it looks like it could be a good solution for them, there's other decision factors going on. They want to know if this add-on is supported. If something goes wrong, is there someone there to help them out? They want to know how it's rated. What have other people experienced with this add-on? How many people are installing it? The higher the install, the more popularity. People are more comfortable downloading and trying your add-on. Atlassian Verified, of course, is a sign of quality to our users. They look for that. And most interestingly to me is they look at the last version. And what they're doing here is trying to determine if that code is maintained. So if you haven't created a version of your add-on in the past year, this is perceived as old and outdated and unsupported. What's going on this slide is the orange arrows are showing you a path that users are scanning the add-on, trying to figure out what content is there, what this add-on is doing. Users will do anything to avoid reading a paragraph of text. They're looking for images, subheadings, bullet points. They'll start with the images, and if they can understand it based on the image, you have a much higher success rate. You're getting to them quicker. If they have to dig and they don't understand what the demo is doing, the video, the images, they'll start reading those subheads, trying to understand what that add-on is. So as you think about marketing your add-on, I think this is a really important slide in terms of understanding how users are looking at your content. Once a user decides to go ahead and try your add-on, they like what you've said, they believe that you might be able to solve your problem, they will come back for a trial. But if they can't figure out how to use it, you might lose them. They might uninstall and abandon. There are 3 areas that users generally struggle when they have adopted the add-on into their environment. I think when they uninstall, you're getting that feedback directly from users. And that's in the fail case, but maybe what you're not hearing is that a lot of users post-install, successful install, feel sort of dropped off. They don't know what to do next. Where do I go? What's the next step? Do I have something to configure? tell them in that success message. Give them more than just success. Tell them the next steps or where to find your add-on and feature in the environment, in the UI overall. And that leads to this second point about learning and onboarding. Your admin is installing and configuring, but you may have a whole bunch of end users out there that have no idea there's a new feature available to them. We have patterns for this in our Atlassian design guidelines to help orient users to new features. It's a really great tool, and would love to see more add-ons adopt onboarding and think about onboarding as part of the experience. And third, support, getting support and help. Things go wrong, that's just how it is out there in the software world, and when they do go wrong, your users need more help. They feel sort of dropped and not really sure where to go or what to do. A lot of this can be handled in the UI with really good error messaging. You can also link them off to support documentation. We know that people do read the documentation, and they would like to see more of that. We also have users that end up calling Atlassian because you've done such a great job making your add-on look like our UI, which is exactly what we want. But they're confused, and they think it's part of Atlassian product, and it's not. And that's an interesting point of confusion for them. It's something to be aware of. So if you can get them in the UI before they make that call, that would be really helpful. OK, I hope this is old news. Atlassian design guidelines have been around for a little while, but I definitely want to make new people aware of them. This is evolving and changing all the time. Our guidelines are descriptions and visual screenshots of patterns that we encourage people to use when they're building inside of our product. Anything from colors and fonts to layouts, error messaging, and things like that. What's even better than that is the Atlassian user interface library. This is actual code that you can just adopt. So these components, the UI components, you can just start building and designing at the same time. Hopefully, we're giving you a much better starting point than if you had to just sort of come up with this on your own. And I want to make sure that people know that we are now building product-specific design guidelines. ADG and AUI take you only so far, but once you get into a certain product context, they have unique patterns within them. And we're starting to extend our patterns in general so that if you're in HipChat, for example, there's HipChat-specific entry points that you can follow for guidelines. All of this is out on developer.atlassian.com, and we'll continue to evolve this as we go along. Jira's not quite there yet, but it is coming soon. Writing style, voice, and tone. This is also on design.atlassian.com. And a lot of people don't know that this is out there. But when you're talking to your users and you're putting them front and center, there's some great examples in here about how to talk in a human way, how to make people feel comfortable. Oops, there's a mistake. It's not your fault. Here, let me help you out. Often, these kinds of things are written in very technical language, and users feel like they did something wrong. And we want to make them feel OK and make them feel better. You didn't make a mistake. It was the software's fault. Here's how to help. Here's how to get help. So I encourage you to take a look at that out there, and I believe we're continuing to evolve this as well and grow it. OK, so I just wanted to wrap up by saying thank you, and we have some time now where I'm happy to take some questions if anybody has any questions on design at Atlassian.
It's a bit specific, but please tolerate me for a sec. So there's I know you've mentioned that the Jira guidelines are still not there, so it is related to that. So I've been seeing lots of different UI for tabular data out there in Jira. And I've seen that there are drag and droppables which are not in the AUI. So I was always wondering how, is there a specific guideline regarding the tabular data in Jira, interactable tabular data?
Yeah, so I think you bring up a really great point. There are a lot of examples in our product UI that may or may not be captured in our design pattern library. Partly what's going on there is we're evolving the product at the time, as it moves along. So there might be older patterns that we wouldn't necessarily support anymore. And we're hoping that those newer patterns have made their way into the design guidelines. That would be the first place I would go to see what the latest pattern is there.
Okay, so wait for the docs. That's your word.
Yes, however, if your project needs to move faster than that, which I understand, I would reach out and we can put you in touch with the right Jira designer.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Hey, Kelly. You clearly have done a lot of marketplace research and surveys. What changes can we expect in the marketplace website now based on all of this?
That is a great question. I don't know what I'm cleared to say. I'm looking at my product manager back there, but so you're right. We've done a lot of research. We've heard very clearly and loudly that there are issues on marketplace search, discovery of add-ons, that smaller vendors can't compete with larger vendors. We know that end users are just generally having a hard time finding, they think the solution is in there, but they can't get to it. Our search and search results are not great. We are designing that right now. In fact, the designs are done. We're waiting to implement that. So what we've done is we're introducing facets, and we're making search more of a center stage, as well as we're changing the back-end search engine, and how we're indexing is changing. So it's both a technology and a usability combination solution that we're going for. We will be putting this in beta. Several people have actually, I've worked with several people on some static screen mocks, gotten some feedback that way. We've actually been user testing prototypes as well. So I feel really good about the solution that we're coming up with. I can't show it to you right now, though.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
All right.